And we can kick off. All right, so you have joined because you are curious about Peloton's marketing strategy. And, you know, it's quite a bold claim to say that an indoor cycling company like Peloton has a genius marketing strategy, but I really do think it's the truth. And they've gone from 0 to 4 million, or almost 4 million devoted users in a matter of years. And they've built, I'm sure, as you've seen, an almost cult-like following. So I've really enjoyed it as a marketer, watching how they've grown their business. And I know a lot of you have probably enjoyed using their services. So it's been kind of a personal passion of mine to study their strategy. And as I was taking notes, I realized I think there's something here, and I'd love to eventually share this content with all of you. So I'm curious if you want to just like raise your hand, because I have you all up on screen. Are you, or is somebody you know obsessed with Peloton? So give me a wave if you or somebody you know is obsessed with Peloton or their bike or the app. Okay, so a lot of people do know somebody who is obsessed with Peloton. So this kind of begs the question, why has everyone suddenly become a super fan of Peloton? Because I can tell you this much, when I used to teach spin classes like 15 years ago, I would try to drag everybody out to get on a bike and ride with me. And everybody's response was, I will never do that. I hate spin classes. The seat is so hard. It's so uncomfortable. And now those very same people had a Peloton bike dropped off to their doorstep. And I'm like, marketing, right? So I think it's really, really fascinating to break this all down. So my intention over the next hour, and I'm just going to be glancing down just because I have notes down here. But intentions over the next hour are, number one, to share the most useful marketing principles that you can apply to your business. Okay. I want this to be practical. So I'm not going to spend too much time blabbing on. I'm not trying to sell anything off of this. I just want to give you advice. So if you find value in this, please let me know, because I'm going to try to pack it with practical tips. Second, I want to encourage you to think bigger about your marketing strategy and what's possible. I'm going to say a million times, it's time to put on your chief marketing officer hat. That's what we're doing, is becoming a marketer on behalf of our business, even if you don't identify as such right now. And third, I want to give you a behind the scenes look of one of the fastest growing companies and brands right now. I think part of the beauty of watching these brands from afar is that we can dissect what's working and then be experimental of how can I actually apply that in my business, right? There's no reason why you can't take these brilliant strategies and bring them down to a micro level, even if you're just in the first year of starting your business, even if your business is still an idea right now. I don't care where you are in the journey, there's always room to experiment, to trial and error different strategies. And of course, marketing leads to growth of our businesses, so we know how important it is. All right. So I'm going to flip over slides here. So if you want to pull up your chat box, I'd love to know who is in the room with us tonight, and I'll quickly scroll through. So if you can just take 1 minute to answer your name, tell us your line of work or what industry you are in, and then I would love to know if you're open to sharing, why are you attending tonight? Like, do you love Peloton? Do you want to get better at marketing? What's the why? Why did you sign up? Or you're like me and you just love studying brands, or you love marketing just as much as I do. Olivera says curiosity. Yes, curiosity. I'm assuming to maybe apply their strategies to your business. And I know I left a bit of an open loop. This is a marketing strategy for all of you. I said Peloton's marketing strategy is pure genius. I didn't tell you what it was, right? So I left an open loop in your mind so that you would actually show up tonight to learn what it is that was, those different principles that Peloton has applied. Zoe, happiness coach, looking to be inspired. Oh, I hope I inspire you tonight. That's a big task. And if you're just coming in, I'll ask you if you can please mute yourself, or Alex or I will come around and mute you. Robin is here. You've grown from a small to medium business and brand growth is a huge goal for us this year. So cool. Well, congrats on all your success so far. We've got Mark in the house, loving branding and marketing. Anya, running coach, and need some serious marketing tips. Great. Callum and Tessa, apply marketing strategies. They're digital noobs. Don't worry, we will get you to be digital experts very soon. Alexa is an executive assistant and nutritionist. Cool. Joined out of interest. Love it. Looking for marketing ideas, says Leanne. Jenna is here. Awesome. Marketing inspiration. Yes, this would be good on your app journey. Interested in opinions and strategies, says Leah. Cool. Well, I hope I have some good opinions to share. No pressure, right? Okay, so let's dive into it today. So nice to see you all here. So to share just quickly a bit more about who I am before we dive in, my name is Kelsey. I'm the founder of Visionary Inc., where we coach creative, driven, and motivated individuals to either launch or to grow their business. And even if you have no idea where to begin, that's why the Visionary Method was created. So when I first started my online business, I actually took a really popular marketing course. So I enrolled in this program, not really knowing what the basis of it was, but what I was taught in the following 4 months of this program was a whole lot of harmful, and I'll call it unethical marketing techniques. So yes, these marketing techniques of pouring salt in people's wounds and basically using false scarcity and urgency to sell things at a deadline, they kind of work. But in trying these principles, when I launched the Visionary Method, realized that this feels completely misaligned. After 2 bad sales calls, I realized that I will never do this again. There has to be a better way. And I just couldn't go on operating a business following the methodology of this program that I had invested in. So at that point, I had just become a business owner. I had left my full-time corporate jobs, and I realized, okay, so if I'm not going to use these marketing strategies that I was taught because they feel totally icky, then what can I do instead? And I reflected on the past decade. I had worked in marketing for various health food companies. And I had worked in community marketing, so building community kind of from the ground up. I worked in experiential marketing, which was creating micro experiences that brought people into becoming a paid customer. And in those days, marketing felt easy. It felt fun. And I almost didn't even realize that that's what I was doing to spread the brand across Canada. And I thought, why have I abandoned these time-honored principles? Why did I think I had to do it a certain way? And the reason is there's a lot of noise when it comes to building a marketing strategy. There's a lot of done-for-you programs and strategies. And you've probably bought courses before that say, Instagram is the solution, or you need ClickFunnels. And we trust everyone else's templates, everyone else's processes. And we kind of forget that there is an inner marketer inside of us. And so my goal, I love this photo here. My goal is to guide you back home to your inner marketer. I want marketing for you in your business to feel every time you're putting out marketing materials, you're sending email campaigns, you're running ads, you're copywriting your website. I want it to feel like you're sitting down with your dream client in this super cozy cabin, and you have a solution to a problem that they want solved. And you, as the marketer, as the creator of this product, you just start telling them about it and how great it is and what the benefits are. And there's no friction there because you know you're helping them. It's a cozy conversation. And so I really want to show you tonight and always that marketing can be fun. It can be intuitive. And when you drop what you should be doing and just put on your marketer's hat, everything changes. And a lot of the strategies I share will kind of operate on this principle of human to human marketing. And so I always think if the average individual encounters 3,000 or more marketing and promotional efforts every single day, like as you go about your day, you see a billboard, you see somebody's business card, you're watching TV, you've got a podcast in, you open your computer and you've got Google ads. If you're inundated with ads and we only end up paying attention to maybe 2 or 3 marketing campaigns per day out of the 3,000 that we encounter, how do we make sure your marketing strategies are actually in that 0.5% or whatever it is? And, that comes with finding a marketing strategy that feels good for you. So sometimes we make marketing a super sketchy, sleazy part of our business because we think it has to be like this dirty, icky selling, making claims that we can't live up to. But I mentioned I'm a fan of no BS marketing. So I just want to lay the foundation here because I'm not going to be giving you like 10-step processes for how to run certain ads. I'm teaching you the principles tonight so that you can go apply them to your business in a way that feels really, really good. So I share this picture because nobody wants to be interrupted with sleazy marketing messages. They want to be approached in a gentle manner, just like this photo here where it feels cozy. They feel warm and invited into a message rather than, hey, buy my stuff, you have a problem. I'm curious, have any of you been the victim of bad marketing? So if you're willing, type in the chat. I'm not going to call on anyone, but just type yes if you can remember some icky marketing you've encountered. And if you want to tell us, don't call anyone out necessarily, but if you want to share the brand or the context, I'd be very curious to read these after, and I'll save the chat. Yes. Duct cleaning calls, says Diana. Interesting. I'm assuming a lot of you have encountered icky marketing. And, that's not what I want to teach you. In fact, that's what we're moving away from. So I'm going to guide you back to time-honored principles, strategies that really work. All right. Okay, so let's get into it. If you are going to share any parts of this presentation, feel free to tag me. My Instagram and pretty much all other platforms are at Kelsey Rydell. So if you do, grab a screenshot or take an Instagram story or whatever you do, feel free to tag me and I will repost it on my account. Okay, let's dive in. So the Peloton revolution explained. So I'll assume that if you're here, it's because you have at least a basic understanding of what Peloton does and why they exist, right? I'll give you a little backstory. So 10 years ago, like I said, everybody I knew was resistant to spin classes. And I have these vivid memories of people just having almost like this disdain towards the type of workout of a spin class. I don't know if they had bad experiences or, they literally just didn't like sitting on the seat, but not a lot of people enjoyed spin as a workout. And today, fast forward to 2021, there are people who are ordering Pelotons, waiting 6 months, who have never sat on a spin bike before, who have never been fans of working out, especially of home workouts, and they're paying $2,000 to $3,000 to get this thing dropped on their doorstep, right? So what changed? Now, I know I'm only speaking my personal experience from 10, 15 years ago when I started spinning was that nobody liked it. Okay. Fast forward to today, I see everyone getting Peloton shipped to their door. The question is, what changed? What's going on? Why has everyone suddenly gone from spin hater to spin lover? I'm going to pull up the chat and see. So what changed is marketing, right? Marketing is what changed. So for those not familiar, Peloton was started by an entrepreneur named John Foley, and he had a vision to bring the traditional spin class experience into people's homes. And he imagined a experience where riders could comfortably queue up a high energy workout at their own convenience, and they would use this built-in TV screen that was attached to their own personalized indoor cycling bike. He had a vision, okay? We look at this now and think that's totally normal, but it was not 10 years ago when he came up with the idea. And so, I share that little backstory of him having the vision because before you can have a marketing strategy, you must have a vision. Where are you going, right? We need to know like what we are trying to achieve through a marketing campaign. In the visionary method, I call this creating your summit vision. So having that destiny, like where are we headed to? So anyways, back in the day, John's idea was revolutionary, and a stationary bike with a TV had never been seen before. So the vision was set in John's mind, and he started trekking towards bringing this thing to reality. But the thing was, early investors turned John down. Venture capitalists said no way when he pitched them for more money. There was so many skeptics that actually outweighed the number of true believers in the first few years of this Peloton pursuit. So it goes without question that if Peloton didn't land on a solid marketing strategy, they would have gone nowhere, right? It was not catching on. People were not buying these bikes in the early stages. They had to do something differently. They had to do a lot of creative campaigning in order to get bikes into enough people's hands that it started to ripple out, right? And the founder, John, he often comments, if you've ever heard him speak on podcasts, he comments how many dark days, dark weeks, dark months there were where they almost shut down like time after time because they ran out of money. So fast forward today, you know, Peloton has leveraged a crazy marketing strategy. I'm sure you saw them pop up, you know, maybe it was in your Instagram feed, or then you got sent an email, then they popped up in Google, then you heard them on a podcast, and they've grown $1 billion company. So I'm going to be double tapping on 5 strategies, 5 things that we can take away. Just before we dive in, making sure you do feel confident in your business foundation first. You have a remarkable product before you layer on marketing. So make sure your product is really good. Talk about this all the time in the visionary method. And then, like I said, having vision, right? Why are you in this business? What are you trying to accomplish? Marketing can help to bring the vision to life. So make sure you're clear on those 2 things. And if not, please message me. Or you can message Alex right now and just say vision or product, and you can book a call with me and she can give you my contact info. All right, so let's get into the tactical stuff. So first strategy that Peloton has leveraged is the Experiential Expo. Now, I've kind of created my own lingo around these based on the marketing mastery framework that I teach. So let me first start with an example. Experiential marketing is not something you all may know about, but I'm sure you have encountered it. Okay. So my earliest memory of experiential marketing is going way back to when I was like 10 or 11 years old, when we went with my friends to the local amusement park, I guess you would call it. It was called Sports World in Kitchener. And I remember we were leaving for the day. We were all finished and had gone down the slides, done the water park, done the little teacup spinny rides. And I was met with this big like pop-up tent, a truck, and it was all branded with Pepsi. And there was loud music playing, and there was a cool team of teenagers, and they were like, hey, do you want to come try Pepsi? And I remember we walked in and then we did this little taste test. Like you didn't know if you were trying Coke or Pepsi, but they wanted to see which one you'd like better. And no matter what you chose, they gave you prizes, they were cheering you on, and you'd walk away with Pepsi. And then sure enough, after that activation, when I was going to go buy a pop, I would choose Pepsi, right? Because that was what was fresh in my mind. I had an experience, I had an emotional connection with the brand. So that is experiential marketing, kind of summed up in a bit of a story. So experiential marketing, or I'll call it XM for the rest of the time, it's a strategy that captures the attention of your dream clients using immersive, engaging, and branded experiences. So rather than just trying to sell people on things, your marketing is actually focused on inviting potential clients into an awesome experience, right? It often involves a trial of your product. Can they try you before they buy you? And this is not just for product-based brands. This is applicable to services too. So for all of you listening, experiential is something I really want you to understand tonight. When people try your product or experience it before they buy, it naturally leads towards a sale. So them pulling out their credit card, and it often leads to lifetime retention of a customer, right? So they don't just buy from you once, they keep coming back and back. So the lifetime value of a customer after a mini experience is invaluable, right? So in Peloton's situation, getting people on the bike was essential, right? It's essential for conversion. So they were tasked with creating an interactive experience that allowed people to take Peloton for a test ride. So instead of just focusing on things like Facebook ads, which I know a lot of you are experimenting with, Kickstarter campaigns, or setting up complicated funnels, or making these extravagant websites, what if you could simply create a little micro experience where you invite people in? Maybe it's by hosting a challenge or a masterclass like this. And it kind of pulls the curtains back and gives people a sample of your work. It gives them a sample of how they'll feel when they actually work with you. So in Peloton's case, they actually decided to open up showrooms in malls, and these malls were often in major cities so that people could actually try the bike. And using the principles of experiential marketing, which we all have access to, we can all think of a little experience we could offer to our dream clients, Peloton was able to start scaling. So this photo here is actually the store where I first tried the Peloton bike. I don't own a Peloton, by the way. I'm just fascinated with their marketing. But this photo here is of their shop on Bloor Street. And I was able to book a time slot. I showed up at the shop. I rode the bike for an hour. And from the moment I walked in, like, the salesperson was lovely. They grabbed my shoes out of the cubby. They put the earphones on me. They set me up on my ride. When I left, I got to throw my stuff in the laundry. And the whole time I took the ride, I was in this office setting. Like, it was a fully immersive experience. And, you know, I share these examples not to say you need to go rent a shop downtown and give people samples, but it's how can I extract this type of experiential marketing and actually bring it into my own business. I find it really hilarious that in the early days, the founder, John, he was often the one working at their first shop, which was in New Jersey. And he described his time, it was in a mall. So like just, you know, your average mall where people are walking around. And anytime a couple came by or a single person came by, he'd say, come on in, we've got these bikes and I would love for you to try it. And people were always really resistant, but he would always just like really commit to just getting them on the bike. Cause he always said, once they get on the bike, once I set them up with the earphones and a ride, and once they start pedaling, he could make the sale 50% of the time. That's crazy. He said, if he could get someone on the bike, 50% of the time, they would buy this piece of hardware that they never intended to buy by going to the mall. And he describes these moments where in that trial period where somebody was finally experiencing the magic of Peloton, they would have their headphones on, like blaring really loud. And then they would yell like at the top of their lungs because the music was on. They'd be like, honey, we have to buy this. And again, like people would walk out with these bikes that they never intended on buying. So Peloton and us, we don't need to persuade people, okay? We just need to let people experience our magic. We're not persuading with marketing. I don't agree with that at all. I think we are just trying to give people an experience so that they can make an informed decision on whether or not they want to work with us, right? So just like Pepsi offered the Pepsi Taste Challenge that I described, Peloton also listed experience. One of their marketing strategies or campaigns or briefs was leaked online, and they literally say that they wanted to figure out how to unlock the power of the bike to those who don't already understand the magic of a live studio class. So in creating this brief, they knew they had to offer an immersive experience. Just like how all of us should be thinking, how can we offer an experience? Because You all know how awesome your product or service is. Your clients don't. Okay. You know your magic. Nobody else does. You think people know how good you are at what you do. They don't. They have to try you on. They have to take you for a test drive or be immersed in some sort of micro experience. You're all probably the best kept secrets in your industry. Have you ever felt that way? It's like, I'm so good at what I do. Why is nobody committing to working with me? Just give them trial, and then you can convert very easily. So in wrapping up principle number 1, I just wanted to share that instead of trying to sell, our goal is simply to deliver an experience. So what experience can you deliver to your dream clients so that they can feel the energy of your business? And is this experience memorable? Is it remarkable? Is it compelling? And, think hard, like, how can I get somebody to experience how great I am at what I do? And if you don't believe you are great at what you do, you have to go back to the foundation, right? You need a remarkable product. Okay, so let's keep moving. Let me have a sip of water first. Okay, so strategy number 2 is the Almanac of Relevance. You're probably like, what? What is that? So the point here is that irrelevant messages will always fall on deaf ears, AKA nobody listens to messaging, especially marketing messaging, that is totally irrelevant to what they need at the time, okay? So as marketers, we need to keep up with what's happening in the world in order to stay part of the conversation. And it's essential to tailor our marketing campaigns and key messaging with what's coming up in the world right now. And more importantly, to be thinking about what's coming up that I need to be talking about. So I want you to ask yourself, are your marketing campaigns related to the current times? Like, especially with what's going on now with COVID. Are your marketing campaigns practical with what's going on right now? Are your marketing campaigns relevant to the state of the world, to the current themes that are happening, to the holidays that are coming up, to the things that people are thinking about in this moment? Have you thought about that kind of stuff? So of course, an example, like I said, when COVID hit, marketing campaigns that were currently running pre-COVID, they became totally redundant. I don't know if any of you remember, like mid-March last year, watching TV or like watching TV, for example, and you'd see a commercial for travel to the Bahamas. And it's like, are you missing the mark here? Like, you need to cancel that commercial ASAP, because nobody is thinking about traveling to the Bahamas when we thought we were going to die just by stepping outdoors, right? So that was insensitive in a way. And the only ad campaigns that people started paying attention to in that time frame were ones that addressed our fears and that made us feel safe and that reflected the conversation going on in our minds, right? So Peloton definitely knows the Almanac of Relevance. So the definition of being relevant is appropriate to the current time, appropriate to the period or the circumstances or the contemporary interest. And so not only did they switch their marketing campaign when COVID hit, for example, just to go on this Almanac of Relevance. We'll talk about COVID in this situation because it was a very relevant collective global experience. But by March 16th, they already had ads that were meeting the conversation in their client's mind. You can see it here. Feeling overwhelmed? Yeah, us too. If you need a supportive community, a way to clear your mind, try the app for 90 days, right? Trial, as we just talked about, leads to conversion. Experiential. It was also very generous as free for 90 days. It's relevant because you can see the kids are there, the dog's there, she's at home, which was what everyone was going through. And this ad did everything right because it really got inside of their dream client's mind and started talking to them in a way that people could understand and comprehend. It's like, yeah, I do feel overwhelmed. Yeah, the kids are under me as I plank. So they had a mega opportunity in front of them to use the Almanac of Relevance, and they took advantage of it, right? That's part of the reason why they're so successful right now, especially with the events of the last year. Another thing they did to be relevant is they play on current themes and they utilize current events. So each month they take a chance to celebrate global events like the Lunar New Year. They have rides for that. Black History Month, they have rides for that. Women's History Month, they have rides for that. They capitalize on popular celebrities, like when Avicii passed away, they did Avicii rides, right? So they stay relevant by simply looking at what's going on in the world, in pop culture, and in history, and playing on that. So we can all do this, right? Like, it's not revolutionary. We can all do this with simple tweaks to our own content calendars. So just knowing when Super Bowl is happening, or when Black Friday is, or when Easter dinner is, and when people are thinking about booking summer vacation plans, when they want to get fit again after a winter slump, right? It's all these types of things that if we know about them as marketers, it's so easy for you all to create content around these events. Or, you know, if you're a nutritionist for busy families, you know that on Thursdays at 5 p.m., mom and dad are looking around going, we don't have food for the kids. We shopped on Sunday, we're out. So you meet them with a marketing message that says, you know, I have pre-made meals to sell you, right? It's just getting into those conversations. Okay, so my challenge to you on this one is, first of all, do you have a master content calendar in place with daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual themes and events? Like, how are you going to create a Women's History Month event if that's aligned with your business and your strategy if you don't know when Women's History Month is, right? So you may want to take a moment to map out a year in review. And there are many templates for this that you can get for free online. And the other question is, are you able to enter the conversation in your dream client's mind and position your product or your service as the exact solution they're looking for? I always start with the phrase, now more than ever, my product is helpful because. So can you answer that question? Now more than ever, why is your business relevant? And if you can't answer that, then, you know, don't expect to have great sales. You have to always be positioning it like, now more than ever, you need what I have, or I have a solution for you. Okay, let's keep moving here. So principle number 3 is the Art of Fascination. It's one of my favorite ones. So what does it mean to fascinate? It's not necessarily a word that you've all used in daily vocabulary. Oh, some people joining now. But fascination by definition is to attract, to hold attentively, unique power, personal charm, unusual nature, to enthrall somebody, to arouse interest, and to have some sort of allure. So I'm curious, have you ever purchased a product or a service because it was fascinating? Like, when you read those words, have you ever bought something because there was some personal charm on behalf of the salesperson? Have you ever bought something because it aroused your curiosity? Have you ever bought something because it had allure? It was unusual in nature. Like, I know it's kind of a weird word to think about, but yeah. So people are saying, yes, yes, yes. Fidget spinners. Yeah, you're probably curious, what the heck is the hype on this thing, right? So this whole fascination concept is not mine. It's pulled from one of my favorite books called Fascinate by Sally Hogshead. And it's brilliant. You should all go do her fascination advantage test. But when you fascinate, you capture somebody's attention. Okay, when you fascinate, you capture somebody's attention. And these days, we know it's hard to get people's attention. Like, anyone having trouble finding clients or selling out their group program or enrolling people in their challenge. like I said at the beginning, we're inundated with brands who are trying to get our attention. So being fascinating is actually a marketing strategy because it helps you to stand out. And Peloton is really good at the art of fascination in more ways than one, but one of the ways that they are fascinating is that they have the most fascinating, alluring, charming, unique instructors team, okay? So let's see what we can pull from this. So let's take Jess King. She's one of the Peloton instructors, and she's super self-expressed. And this is actually another principle I'm not going to talk about tonight, but I really do see the power in being self-expressed as a marketing strategy. You being more of who you are is literally a strategy because there are so many people who are being false versions of themselves on the internet. You have an opportunity to grow your business by being real, by being yourself. It's so cool. So similar to Jess, she is herself in a world where a lot of people would not be this expressive. And she's fascinating because as an instructor, she's very different. Like, she's not like the spin instructor at your local gym. And she's created this thing called the Jess King Experience. And it's kind of a unicorn when it comes to spin classes. She dresses in wild prints. She has a DJ by her side. She's dancing. She's curated this like deep house playlist. There's set design, but there's also hard work and, you know, a lot of sweat will be poured. And she's got this cult following because she is fascinating. And Peloton's instructors are one of their most important assets. So they hire fascinating people. They go through such a rigorous interview process. I think something like 20 interviews is often like a standard for hiring instructors. And they're looking for people. And this is literally in, so like I said, their marketing docs got leaked a few years ago. They weren't supposed to. And one thing on their hiring document said, we're looking to hire instructors who have that celebrity status. Because why we like celebrities? Well, they fascinate us. It's like, we don't live that lifestyle. So we're like, Same with how we look at these Peloton instructors. If you've spent time riding their classes, most of them are fascinating in their own way, okay? Like I said, there is a book by Sally Hogshead if you want to go deeper in this topic and learn what makes your brand fascinating. If you're a student of mine inside of the Visionary Method and you have not done this, please send me an email and I'll send you a unique code. But I would highly suggest figuring out what makes your brand fascinating by taking this test. There's, I think, 7 outcomes. So fascination means that your business is seen, heard, and remembered in a way that capitalizes on your natural gifts as a business owner and as a marketer. So I want you to sit and think, what is fascinating and unique and different about you and your brand? How can you play up your fascination advantage so that people can't ignore you? And these are deep questions. You may have to think about this for a moment. All right, let's keep moving here. So the relationships recipe is strategy number 4. So no matter what business you think you're in, I always say you're in the business of relationships. You have an amazing product or service, but perhaps you don't have the audience yet. So relationships is going to help you to get that audience. So this means spending time building relationships. It means building relationships with your customers, with yourself, with your industry peers, with people who are doing similar things than you, with people who are further along the path, with people who you see as a strategic partner. Like, there are many categories of relationships that we all need to be building, which means it needs to be a core component of your business, and it ends up being a marketing strategy. So Peloton has done a great job with relationships, not only with their riders. So they've obviously created the community of 4 million people, but they've also created amazing relationships with partners. So let's see what some of these relationships are to see how could I apply that to my own business. Now, you're not going to go hire Beyonce, for example, but you can always find somebody who's just a little further down the path than you. So Peloton, to leverage the relationships recipe, they partnered with Beyonce for a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal. And that's because they wanted to leverage Beyonce's audience to sell more Peloton bikes. She had the people that they wanted to tap into, right? They had this asset of a Peloton bike. She has this audience of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. So they said, if I can put the bike in front of her, then boom, what happens? It's a match made in heaven. Same situation. I've shared this with my Visionary Method students before. Kylie Jenner, many of you probably know her, created the lip kits and famous celebrity, part of the Kardashian family. She had the audience of millions and millions of people, and she wanted to start a makeup line, but she had no team who could do the production of millions of lip kits. So she partnered with a makeup company that was almost going out of business that had this huge production facility. And so she barely does anything and becomes a billionaire off of these lip kits. She just found somebody who had the audience that she didn't. Pretty cool, right? Another partnership, think about complementary brands. So does your business have any complementary brands? Like if you are a massage therapist, maybe a complementary brand is a chiropractor. In Peloton's case, they offer spin classes. So they partnered with Adidas to create apparel. You see how that's complementary, and it exposes each audience to each other. So again, even if you only have maybe 200 followers on your Instagram, for example, partner with another company that has 200 followers, and then hopefully you exchange audiences, and then you each have 400, right? It's brilliant. They partnered with Spotify because obviously we listen to music while we are on our Peloton. So they've done these collaborative rides where we have these Spotify playlists and you can ride out to your favorite Spotify. What else do they do for relationships? They made friends with a lot of popular podcasters. I guess they knew their target demographic of people listen to podcasts. So where do your people hang out that you can go show up in front of, right? They knew that we were podcast listeners. Let's put podcast ads because we know people respond there. Yeah, and that's just an example of a relationship you can start building. Relationship with the community. I mean, probably the most important. Peloton nurtures their community, and even with 4 million people, they still send you a t-shirt when you hit your 100th ride. How cool is that? They also give birthday shout outs, and they do other things to maintain that relationship. It's not just about making the sale and then ghosting. It's about being remarkable while you're in that relationship, right? So in summing up this one, you don't need to have a remarkable product and an audience. Let me say that again. You don't need a remarkable you don't need a remarkable product and a huge audience. You just need one of the two, and then you ask who has the opposite. So like Kylie had the audience, she asked who has the product, who can make the lip kits. Or if you have an online course that you're really proud of, but you don't have the audience, think of where can I put this online course in front of, who has the audience of people that we could give a talk to or that we could offer a discount to. So again, it's thinking beyond yourself. This is not just about you. You have to be thinking in a collaborative manner as much as possible, right? You don't have to do all the things. You don't have to wear all the hats. Just find out who has the asset that you do not have. Next principle is the you zig, I zag principle. This is one of my favorites. I think I say that for all of them, but I love the marketing content inside of the Visionary Method and the Marketing Mastery Intensive. So this means, if you've heard this kind of anecdote of you zig, I zag, it means to do the opposite of what others are doing if it feels aligned. and if not the opposite, just doing something else. So while other spin studios, namely some of the other biggest in-person studios like SoulCycle and Flywheel, while they rose to popularity being a dance party on the bike, Peloton took the opposite stance, okay? They literally had in their leaked marketing brief that they are not a party on the bike. Although it kind of looks that way, and some might disagree, but their marketing strategy was to take this polar opposite perspective and say, you're all going to these spin classes that are literally just a party on the bike. And it's more like a place where you go to socialize and look cool. Peloton is not that. Peloton is about real work. It's about showing up and getting results. It's about this leaderboard. It's about this data. So there is a lot of strategy in taking an opposite point of view. And if you can take a stance against something that is normally gospel in your industry, like what are all those other coaches, all those other practitioners saying that you don't agree with, that you're like, that's not the way it should be done. And then you can speak up and actually have a strong stance on whatever it is that you're speaking up against. Yeah, I actually wrote another funny part down. So while Flywheel and SoulCycle were busy luring customers into expensive fitness classes in person, in studio, Peloton recognized the potential of the boutique fitness trend, and they just developed a totally new model. So they are saying in a lot of their campaigns, you'll never be riding a bike that's drenched in someone else's sweat again. So they're going with looking at how the traditional model operates and then asking, how do we differ from that? And how can we almost play up that opposite perspective? So some of my favorite questions to ask my students and my clients to challenge them: what are some opinions you don't agree with in your industry that are generally taken as, that's just the way it's supposed to be done? Oh, you're just supposed to throw $1,000 a month into Facebook ads. What? Why? So is there something there? Is there a common point of view that you really do not agree with in your industry? What rubs you the wrong way? Like maybe you don't agree with the fact that most nutritionists make you count your calories, okay? What rubs you the wrong way? And are there any shifts happening in your industry that you dislike? So, maybe you're seeing, this is a weird example, but maybe you're seeing more people start to use Bitcoin and buying into these digital currencies. But then on the other end of the perspective, that apparently there's a huge carbon footprint associated with Bitcoin, and it's actually not good for the environment. So as an environmentalist and an environmental consultant, you're speaking up about that in the tech industry. So is there something you're seeing that's happening that you dislike, you don't like where the industry is going, or you just want to put your foot down on a certain position or aspect of your thought leadership, right? One of the reasons why we want to do this too is because you can build marketing campaigns around a simple idea, such as, we are not a party on the bike. A lot of their campaigns showed people working really hard from the comfort of their own home. So these are great questions to ask yourself. I have more prompts too. So if you are a student of mine, message me and I can share them with you. I learned from a marketing mentor of mine named Michael F. Shine. He's really good at these types of questions and basically getting attention based on choosing a perspective that is different. And obviously you have to believe in the perspective, right? And just a little quick bonus strategy, I know we're running up on the top of the hour, is the Shareability Scorecard. So the easiest way to grow your business is for your customers to do it for you. Okay, think about that. The easiest way to grow your business is for your customers to do it for you, especially if you're a one-person marketing team, a one-person show, but you've worked with 100 or 200 or 500 customers. Imagine all of them feel so strongly about your product or your service that they are on the front lines sharing about how awesome you are, sharing that everyone needs to go see you, that everyone needs to take your class, that everyone needs to work with you. Wouldn't that be ideal? Peloton's community does just that. They snap sweaty selfies. They tag their instructors. They are constantly telling their friend, because if they refer someone to Peloton, they get $100 in credit straight to their account. They can go buy a new pair of Peloton shoes. And Peloton recognized that shared experiences are hugely popular, and research shows that people are motivated, accountable, fulfilled when they work out together and when you're in these shared spaces. So they knew they had to connect people. They had to figure out how to unite a remote community. So Peloton did that so well. They figured out, how can you high five people during your ride, like virtually? How can you share your stats with friends? How can you join the leaderboard to see your data and where you rank? You get shout outs. You can share your ride. You can send it to your friends. Like, they email you right after. Everything is meant to be shared. Everything is meant to unite the community. So the question is, how can you do that in your business? I just pulled this off of Reddit. I thought it was interesting. Somebody was saying you can buy a good stationary bike, a brand new iPad, and an online trainer for less than a Peloton. He spelt it wrong, but anyways. And it's like, yes, sure, but you can't buy a real community, right? So Peloton, it gives you that status. It gives you that acceptance into an existing community, and people are searching for that. So do you have a community element of your business? Do people want to share what they're up to when they work with you or when they buy your product? If we could have as much shareability as Peloton, we would all be operating with 3 million users as well, right? That's the goal. So have you made any strategic operational choices that make your brand shareable, talkable, and referable? And do your clients talk about your business when you're not around? What prompts them to think of you, right? So lots of things to reflect on here. So I'd love to hear in the chat, which of Peloton's marketing strategies do you want to implement into your business? So I'm going to recap them. Experiential marketing, right? Giving a sample of your work. The Almanac of Relevance. So making sure you're playing on current themes and events and what's going on in the world. The Art of Fascination. So being more fascinating, more of who you are to attract people. The Relationships Recipe. Partnering with strategic partners, deepening relationships with your clients. The U-Zig, I-Zag principle. So taking a strong stance against something that is seen as common or gospel in your industry that you don't agree with. And the Shareability Scorecard, getting your clients to share when they're part of your community so that it naturally extends your reach. So which of those 6, experiential, Almanac of Relevance, Fascination, Relationships, U-Zig, I-Zag, or Shareability Scorecard? So type in the chat for me here. I want to hear from all 18 of you who are on live with us. Partnerships, awesome. Says Anya. Leanne says being more fascinating, relationships, and taking a stance. The taking a stance I didn't come around to for maybe till like 4 years into my business, when I finally felt confident in what I had to say that was different. So for some of you, it might take a while. Zoe says experiential and Art of Fascination. I love that. Robin says Almanac of Relevance and the Art of Fascination. I feel like we include the other strategies as a core of who we are, but need to be more fascinating. Yeah. And it's true. Again, going back to the fact that attention is so limited, right? So we do tend to pay attention to what's different or what's fascinating, and then we ignore everything else. Shareability, says Anya. U-Zig, I-Zag. Yeah, take that different perspective, Diana. Awesome. Jill says fascination. Take the fascination test if you haven't already. Experiential marketing. Yeah, it works really, really well. Relationships and collaboration, says Leah, which you are doing very, very well. So awesome. I love hearing from you all. So in kind of wrapping this up, I will save time for Q&A as well. I do want to let you know that if you are looking to go deeper on these topics, I am totally open to chatting with you. Alex is going to paste a link into the chat right now. So if we are not working together yet and you just want to jam out for 15 minutes on a marketing strategy call, love talking to you and would be happy to just share some ideas back and forth. So again, if you're not part of the visionary community, please click that link and you can find a time to chat with me. So you just fill out a quick application. Okay, so I'm going to stay on in case anyone has any questions. I hope you found this useful. I hope you got one thing to take away. And it's not just about learning as much as possible, but it's really about implementing, right? It's about saying, what did I learn tonight that I'm going to create tomorrow? What can I do in the next 24 hours, the next week, the next month to bring this principle to life? So again, if I can help you, please click that link. I'd love to support you, or I'll see you inside of the Visionary Method calls where we can totally jam on this. So if you do have a question, if you want to just type question into the chat, if you want to come on live, if you don't feel like coming on live, just type your question into the chat. So either write the word question. If you do need to head out promptly at 8, I totally understand. And awesome. Okay, so Robin has a question. What have you used from the Peloton strategy in your business? Oh my goodness. So all of them actually, Robin. So really good question. So I'll go through like a quick example of each, I guess. So for Experiential Expo, because the visionary method it's a community, it's a service, right? It's hard to show people the workbooks when I don't have a store to sell. Like people walk in and say, do you want this blueprint for building your email list? Do you want this template for creating your first webinar? So what I do is I actually just invite my community to join their first call free. I want them to come join us on a Wednesday, experience the magic of everyone sharing their wins, celebrating each other, talking in the chat. So your first call is free. That's the experiential. Almanac of Relevance. I use content calendars to plan my content. So everything's mapped out in there. And after you've done it for a year, you just keep duplicating. With Art of Fascination, my fascination advantage is passion. So whenever I show up for you, I'm usually passionate about what I do. I don't share the okay, so we all have bad days. We all have, I'm female. I have days on days that I don't feel like myself. That's not what I want to share with you because I know my advantage is passion. So I really try to keep my content centered around that. Relationships, I spend 25% of my time connecting with people. So I book calls with people I've never met. I show up to co-working events. I'm reaching out to people who inspire me, mentoring people behind me. It's a huge part of what I do. You zig, I zag. I have lots of opinions on marketing and the way it's done, and I'm starting to share those a lot more freely. You can find in my blog, my podcast, Instagram. I did an episode called Marketing Trends That Must Die in 2021 or something like that. So those are some examples. And I hope that kind of answers your question, Robin. Tessa, do you want to come on and ask your question?
Certainly, thanks. So we've never done like a partnership before, aside from like co-teaching an event or something. And I was wondering how you would recommend starting that conversation, especially with someone who's, a lot bigger, a lot more seen than us. Like any tips there?
Absolutely. Such a good question. So when you're reaching out to somebody who's further along the path than you, really what you're just trying to do is to open up a conversation and to get them to pay attention, to get them to read the email. So I would first make it all about them. Basically, if you're going to write an email, I wouldn't even write an email. I would find the platform they hang out on the most, say it's Instagram stories, and I would film a video message just saying, your work has deeply inspired me. I watched the documentary where you were talking about climate change. It was incredible. And then at the very end, after you shower them with compliments and just let them know how much your work has impacted them, then I want you to ask something small. Would you be willing to chat with my community? Can I feature you on my podcast? Can you write an excerpt for our blog on this topic since you're an expert on it? Likely the person you're about to reach out to, they don't have time to be sifting through their inbox, responding to every email, but they will respond to impactful emails. They will respond to someone who clearly has done their homework, knows like a lot about what they've created. And I would share, like, here's how your work has impacted me. And then give them incentive to respond. Or like I said, if you have a platform, a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, everybody's looking for exposure. So if you can offer them a little bit of exposure, that would be great. It's not always about going in for the ask though. Sometimes you actually have to build the relationship, right? It's like walking into a store and somebody's saying like, do you want to buy the tent? It's like, what? Like, I'm not here for a tent. Same way, if you approach someone, it's like, do you want to sell my program? They're like, no. But they might do that for a friend. They might do that once they see the value in the two of you and how awesome you are and how passionate you are and how much your audience is actually, or how much your program is actually perfect for their audience, right? So you have to think, why are we pitching this person? And at the most basic stage, I would start by actually just writing a list of complementary brands, complementary people, products. So it's like, who would actually benefit from selling the Never Settle Society, which is their program? So maybe it is like another coach, or, I can jam on this with you guys further, but thinking like, who has the audience that would be perfect for our coaching program, and give them a kickback, right? If they enroll someone in your program, they get 10%. So yeah. And so hopefully you got some nuggets out of that, but it's really about like going in slow, going in the side door and building the relationship first.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see if there's anything else. Open to more questions. If anyone does, just type question in the chat. I know that we're a little over time here. Yeah, Robin, do you want to come on camera or mic and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. For you, like, you talk about obstacles and what your biggest obstacle is, you know what I mean? And I think we all have them and they always change, but would you feel comfortable? And if you're not, that's fine. But what's your biggest obstacle in your business? And maybe the impacts of COVID have changed that, you know what I mean? Because I think my obstacles last year at this time versus my obstacles this year at this time are really different.
Good question. I'm assuming your business was impacted greatly by COVID. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think my experience is probably unique and different. So, what happened last year was a lot of people needed online marketing support. So that was a unique experience in its own. My greatest obstacle right now is in actually scaling my marketing efforts. So everything that I've kind of shared with you in terms of how I apply all of these 6 principles to my business, now it's thinking about, okay, so we've got our core community. We've kind of reached past our current network and that like 6 degrees of separation, I would say, like friends, friends of friends, family. Now it's, okay, we need to scale up and go global. How do we get on bigger stages? How do we get bigger media exposure? How can we actually enroll, hundreds of people per year into the program and start thinking on a global level versus, on a smaller level. So it's scale, if that answers your question. Does it, Robin?
Yeah. And it's in our business, that's it's funny because what you're saying is exactly where we're at. You know what I mean? We've got a great customer base,
Yes.
but taking that to the next location and sort of having that spitball effect, you know what I mean? Where we just have a wider audience, we're connecting with people beyond our geographic location and stuff like that. So literally everything you said really resonates with me.
Yeah. Okay. So for you now, what I'm seeing, we'll all come to a point in our business where we are kind of maxed out for time. So you have to think, how can I package up my methodology? Like, what is that method that's getting everybody success that you can now hand over to another practitioner, to another coach, and say, I've created the thing. I have to remove myself from the thing and somebody else can go teach it. And then you can have multiple people who are sharing the methodology, millions of people getting results because it's a proven framework. So that's why it really comes down to, first, you need the remarkable product, right? You can't go anywhere without that. Start layering on marketing, see what works. And then it's about bringing those strategies to the next level so that you can actually tap into like all of the people who could benefit from your product, and that it's not being bottlenecked by you anymore. So it's getting that framework dialed in, having a really amazing, amazing product that's pretty much foolproof, I would say. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Leah, you have a question. If you want to come on camera or come on the mic.
Sure. Hi. I was wondering if you had any ideas for the shareability scorecard, and especially when you work mostly with one-on-one clients where, yeah, like maybe and you have a free community, but then people who are coming through, how can they kind of share that's not maybe too personal if it's something like nutrition, or I don't know, I guess it could apply in other places too.
Absolutely. So, one of the easiest ways, and actually you've already implemented this, is sending snail mail, or you've created, I wish I could show everybody, these awesome little stickers that you sent me the other day, and it's now on my laptop. So I would say the easiest way to get shareability when you're in kind of that earlier stage, working with just a handful of one-on-one clients, is to send something to them or to gift them. Maybe it's something digital that they're able to share, because unboxing is a real thing. Like, people love getting mail and they usually will take out their phone and share it, especially if prompted to. Like, hey, grab your phone, snap a photo, tag me at, and then share your handle, right? I've actually gotten clients because somebody shared a gift I gave them and then they followed over to my profile. And then they were like, oh, that's something I need. Sounds good. Sign me up. So that would be one way. Another thing to do to get more shareability is to feature content on your social platforms that is easily reshareable, right? So tagging people in certain content, spotlighting people, featuring them, because have you ever opened up your Instagram, you see you got tagged in something, you're always going to reshare it and add to story. So that's going to extend your reach a ton. Another way would be to build more than just your product, build a brand, build something that eventually can be logoed on a sweatshirt, or that becomes the logo on a coffee mug that people want to buy. They may not even work with you, right? And they will want to buy your merchandise. So I know that might seem almost impossible, but it is very realistic that people would want to rep the brand if we are creating something that's more than just coaching, more than just consulting, and that becomes very shareable too. So those are a few ideas. Anything that gets people feeling enthusiastic about your product or your experience will make them want to share, because we feel really good when we provide a recommendation to another, and when we feel like, ooh, I know the best kept secret nutritionist, it's Leah. And so if there's any way that people can share that, it gives them a dopamine hit, right? So we really want to think too, what situations would people be in where they talk about us? That's why I always say to all of you, have trigger words that you say in your marketing all the time. So anytime somebody says surfing or energy or nutrition, they'll always say, you've got to follow Leah's content. She talks about all of those things. For me, it's anytime somebody says something like negative or sad about marketing, like, oh, I can't figure out marketing, or my marketing isn't working, or I just don't get the state of marketing. I want everyone to say, go to Kelsey, right? It's a trigger word. So that's shareability at its finest. So it could be digital, it could be in person. It takes a creative mind to think, but I would highly recommend reading the book Talk Triggers, or just go listen to the Talk Triggers podcast.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anya says, how do I become the best kept secret? You are the best kept secret. If you believe in the product you have, if you are remarkable at, in your case, run coaching, you are the best kept secret. And if you don't feel that way, keep working on your belief, keep improving your product. You will get there. Mark says, you already are. Yeah, so to be the best kept secret, just make sure that what you offer is totally kick ass and that you believe in it more than anyone else does. If anyone else has a question, let me know. I'll wait like 30 more seconds. Super fun. I could chat about marketing all day with you all. So again, if you're not a client and you feel like chatting marketing, then I'm hoping to offer up some time to you. So just use that link that Alex had posted a little earlier and we can jam out on some strategies. Okay, cool. Thanks, Olivera. Nice to see you. I will wrap this up for now. Yes, we will catch up very soon. Love it. You're welcome, Zoe. All right, cool. So I hope everyone has an amazing Monday. Thank you for joining. If you do have any questions, you know where to find me on any of the socials or email. And I will chat with you all very soon. So have an awesome night, everybody.